One of the most known geography facts is that Vatican City is the smallest country on Earth. But things are about to change, as they're building a Muslim Vatican City that'll be just one-fourth its size. In Africa, there's about to be a new Singapore. Down under, Australia is getting a new neighbor, and this country could change map of Iran and Middle East forever. These are the 6 countries that we will get to see in the coming years. Recently, Israel stirred things up when it decided to recognize Somaliland as a country, a breakaway state in the Horn of Africa that declared its independence from Somalia in 1991 during the Civil War. Now, this is no accident, because Somaliland is going to be really crucial in the coming years, which will also buy it its country status. You see, Somaliland behaves just like a normal country. It prints money, holds elections, maintains functioning bureaucracy, and relative peace compared to the chaos that's further south. Now, this is a key factor because the country is located in one of the most critical maritime routes. Around 15% of total international trade goes through this choke point, but shipping vessels are increasingly seeing attacks by Houthi rebels and pirates, and Somaliland's stability makes it the perfect spot to make military bases and posts to defend peace attacks. However, no major power wants to encroach more breakaway regions in Africa, which left Somaliland in a gray area for decades until Israel became the first to recognize it. What makes it even more interesting is that many countries in Africa, Middle East, and superpowers like China and Russia are not happy with this decision. According to them, it would cause more instability in the region. On the other hand, the US has defended Israel's right to recognize, and there's a good chance it might recognize the nation in the future. And so might countries like India, UAE, Ethiopia, which are increasingly investing in ports and other infrastructures in the country, which could create a domino effect, encouraging more and more countries to recognize it in the coming years. But not every country needs to fight for its independence. Some are signed into existence behind closed doors. There are 44 officially recognized landlocked countries, and one of them is Vatican City, a city-state surrounded by Italy from all sides, which also holds the title for the smallest country on Earth. But Albania has decided to destroy both of these facts with just one decision, by making a new landlocked country that's smaller and Muslim, the sovereign state of Bektashi Orders. You see, the Bektashi Order is a small Sufi sect based in Albania that originated in the Ottoman Empire during the 13th century and has its headquarters in Albania since the 1925. There are around 20 million Bektashi people worldwide, and in Albania they make about 5% of the population. And this 27-acre complex in Tirana serves as the headquarters for the Sufi order, featuring a museum, library, and shrine. In 2024, Prime Minister of Albania announced he's planning to create the sovereign state of Bektashi Order, a microstate that would be one-fourth the size of Vatican City. To put it into perspective, that's like the size of 14 football fields. This new country would have its own administration, a green passport that's deeply symbolic in Islam, and borders. But this country would not have any army, border guards, and courts. The country would allow consumption of alcohol and allow women to dress however they like. The reason, according to Bektashi leaders, is to promote more positive views on Islam in Albania and the rest of the world. However, the citizenship would only be limited to clerics and those engaged in administration of the state, just like the Vatican City. And importantly, even Pope has supported the creation of this new country. But there's one place on Earth where this question isn't theoretical anymore, because the decision has already been made and the process has already begun. Bougainville is an island in the Pacific that most people had never heard of, but may have to learn soon. Bougainville is currently part of Papua New Guinea, though in many ways it has never even felt like it belongs there. The people of Bougainville are ethnically different, with a distinct identity that sets them apart from the mainland Papua New Guinea. Geographically, the island sits far away, separated by miles of ocean, which has always created this sense of isolation. But the biggest breaking point came from what was beneath their land. Bougainville was home to one of the most richest copper mines in the world, the Panguna mine. And while the mine generated enormous wealth, most of the money went to the national government and foreign companies, while the locals were left with environmental destruction, polluted rivers, and very little benefit. This imbalance created anger, which eventually exploded into a civil war, and that war ended with a promise: a referendum on independence. When that vote finally happened in 2019, more than 97% chose to leave, and since then, negotiations have been underway to make it official, with independence expected somewhere around 2027. But sometimes an unexpected turn of events can push a country that has been whole for a long time toward becoming a reality. As America tries to use the Kurds to fight against Iran, the possibility of forming Kurdistan, or maybe at least part of one, suddenly seems real. But this wouldn't be the first time the Kurds have been given false promises by America. The region is home to Kurds, a people who were left divided without a homeland after the British left the region. Since then, they've been trying to gain independence. Almost every time America starts a new conflict in the Middle East, the Kurds are promised support and even independence in return for fighting alongside them. However, those promises have rarely been delivered. But this time, if the Kurds decide to fight again, they might actually end up forming at least a piece of Kurdistan. But sometimes, even global warmen can help create a country. Hey, if you made it this far, I would really appreciate if you leave a like on this video. Now, let's move on to the other side of the world, where Greenland is in a complicated situation. For years, it has been quietly moving towards independence from Denmark. Greenland already has its own parliament, its own prime minister, and control over most of its internal affairs. Independence wasn't a question of identity, it was a question of timing and money. The island depends heavily upon financial support from Denmark, and leaders knew they needed a stronger economy before breaking away. But then, suddenly, everything changed when Trump started talking about Greenland. Overnight, a place that most people never thought about was in global headlines. At the same time, something even bigger was happening. As global warming melts the Arctic ice, new sea routes are opening above Greenland. Ships traveling between Asia, Europe, and North America can now take a shorter path. This makes Greenland incredibly valuable, not just for its location, but also the rare earth minerals that are buried under its ice. As more and more ice melts, Greenland's fate remains uncertain. It could be its own separate country, a new American state, or just stay in its current limbo. But sometimes even getting recognized by almost every country on Earth isn't enough. Palestine has existed as a recognized land and national identity for centuries, long before the modern conflict. It already holds a non-member observer state status at the moment, a major diplomatic step it achieved in 2012. In 2025, a new wave of countries formally recognized Palestine at the UN level, increasing diplomatic momentum and putting more international pressure. Today, most countries in Asia, Africa, Latin America recognize Palestine, while a smaller group, including the United States and a few Western allies, still do not. But that balance is slowly shifting. However, ongoing Israeli settlement expansion in the West Bank, political division between Palestinian factions, and continued violence makes the creation of a stable, clearly defined state much harder. Whether Palestine becomes a fully independent country will depend on a lot of different factors. But one thing is for sure, the pressure is clearly increasing, which could result in a resolution. By the way, I recently made a video about how Japan secretly increases territory by building these mysterious structures in the ocean and why China hates it. Make sure to check it out. And again, if you like this video, leave a like and hide the video.